In my view, I think President Obama has personalized his conflict with Benjamin Netanyahu in a way that is both disgraceful and shocking. You do not hear President Obama making these remarks and having this public conflict with, I don't know, Kim Jong-un or the Castro brothers. It seems that Benjamin Netanyahu gets to be the focal point of this White House's ire.
Let's see, what's the difference? Kim Jong-un, not Jewish. The Castro brothers, not Jewish. Benjamin Netanyahu, Jewish. And you just heard a little while ago, you heard Governor Huckabee say that Obama has an extraordinary disdain for Israel and Netanyahu, and he resents Netanyahu. Joining us now is the Malzberg panel. Adam Thompson, senior partner and owner of the law offices of Adam M. Thompson, criminal defense attorney, syndicated talk host, and Brad Hirschfield, author of You Don't Have to Be Wrong for Me to Be Right, and president of CLAC and founder of thewisdomdaily.com. All right, Brad. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what to ask here. Now we're seeing this disdain for Israel manifest itself in the threats that we may not defend you with the United Nations. We might call for statehood back to the 67 borders through the United Nations. And by the way, we might impose sanctions on you. But we're going to lift sanctions on Iran because they're good people.
Was there a question in there? But I'll respond anyway, because you're right. You didn't know what to ask, so you didn't ask. But that's cool. Look, none of what you just said has actually been said by the administration. Really? So let's be very clear. That's all speculation. What the administration has said, and believe me, I'll be playing it. They said they're willing to revisit their policy.
Well, what does that mean?
I think that we don't know.
Yeah,
Here's what we do know. The clip you led with is the most important piece. This has become a personal spat. And when the President of the United States makes it a personal spat with the most important, the most durable, and the most reasonable ally and friend this country has had for over half a century in the Middle East, that's a problem. It's not just a problem for Israel, which I do take very personally. I take it personally as an American. What this administration is doing, it has nothing to do with anti-Semitism. It's a different conversation. There's no evidence of that at all, quite the contrary. But what it does look like, and it looks like that to the whole world, it looks like the President is in a dark forest with a lot of dangerous characters, is standing next to the most reliable tree that this country has, called the State of Israel, and is cursing the tree as opposed to figuring out how to get out of the dark forest. It's just bad.
Adam, it's because the tree has a yarmulke.
No, well, I don't know if there's any anti-Semitism there, but I want to comment on the last part of what Brad said, because I think that's going in the right direction of what this narrative needs to be. It's very alarming that the Obama administration seems to want to align itself with people and countries that are not our true allies, rather than Israel, who clearly is our ally and the only democratic country in that entire region. The fact that it's coming at such a crucial time when there's negotiations concerning nuclear weapons in Iran and there's this divide, it couldn't have happened at a worse time. And now, as you said, Steve, going into the UN and wanting to take a position, maybe for the first time in such a strong manner, against Israel, where it might even lead to sanctions, that's just unspeakable. That can't happen.
Yeah, well, you know, I just don't, I think it's beyond Netanyahu. I think it would be anybody who doesn't kowtow to the president. I think he was, born into a world where he thinks that Israel is an imperialist nation. He thinks that the Palestinians are victims. He hung around with Rashid Khalidi. We wish we never saw that tape from pre-2008 that the LA Times, I think, wouldn't show anybody, where they were reportedly laughing at anti-Israel jokes at a dinner. And that's who Obama is. That's who he is. At the same time, he's ready to make a deal with a country that's killing Americans. He's ready to possibly sanction Israel.
So I think part of what you said, Steve, is very important, why we shouldn't ratchet up the issue with Israel, but ratchet it down, because it turns out fighting about that is a distraction from a much more serious issue, and that's Iran. The truth is that now we have draft documents that are circulating, and no one in the administration is objecting about this deal. This is a deal that, because they're not objecting, it seems it's going to be true, accepts more than double the amount of nuclear weapons development that the maximum had ever been tolerated, and 600% more than we went into these negotiations with. So we went from 1,000 to 4,000, never more than 4,000, and now to 6,000 and maybe 6,500. And that's a much more serious problem, because that one we're not going to be able to talk past.
Right. And Adam, very quickly, as a reward, we lift the sanctions on them too.
We gave them more opportunities to increase the ability to build nuclear weapons, and we're going to remove sanctions or lessen them. And here's the surprise thing. The military just found documents that says Iran was considering using a nuclear bomb over the United States and getting a pulse that would knock out all our grids. Yeah, let's reward them some more.
Hey, who cares?
Good
Not
work.
Obama. We're coming back with more. All right, ladies and gentlemen, back with the Malzberg panel. You know, Breitbart has a report up that Hillary today, she was given some, I think this was her last paid speech, I don't know, talking about how adults don't have enough fun because, you know, Hillary looks like a real fun person. And we need camps for adults. That's all I'm going to leave it at. That's all I'm going to say. We need camps for adults. And you will attend. But how about this on the same level? Barack Obama would like to make voting mandatory. Mandatory. Adam Thompson, you're an attorney. Can he do that?
Other countries have done it. I don't think it's ever going to happen here. You know, our rights are to choose to vote or not vote. I wish more people would vote and participate in electing our officials, but that is a person's right. And to fine people or threaten them with imprisonment or some sanction, I mean, it's getting to the point of being ridiculous.
Gee, Brad, it sounds a little like health care. You will have health care insurance, or you will be fine.
Well, I think it's a good example. I think it's, again, a really well-intentioned, terrible idea. There's something, it seems to me, maybe it's just me,
nothing well-intentioned about it.
Deeply undemocratic about forcing people to vote. I think, look, the frustration is real. Adam mentioned it. Voter participation in this country, especially among younger people, is really a problem. It's tragically, epically low. And participation is the lifeblood of democracy. But that's the point. It's voluntary participation. It's not coercion. The most important thing it seems to me we can do if we want more people to vote is do politics better. Allow people to believe that through participation they could actually get something accomplished, and then you won't force them back to the polls. They'll choose to go to the polls.
Right. And what happens if you go to the poll or you don't like either of the candidates? What, are they going to make you vote for somebody? This is just insane. Come to your house with a gun and make you go? I mean, this is Obama's vision of the world. It's scary. Okay, and he can't do it unilaterally, believe me, even though he might try. Now, one way to get people to the polls and to excite people, especially for 2016, a surefire way would be possibly to get someone else in instead of Hillary. The polls show, there's a Rasmussen poll out that shows that a majority of Democrats would like to see more faces in there. How about the latest number? There it is. Democrats should look for a fresh face at 54%. Democrats should go with past candidates, 22%. What about Al Gore, who is making some noise and people are starting to mention his name, Brad?
There's no possible way that happens. I think that the interesting thing about the Rasmussen poll is that people, Democrats, say they want a fresh face, but they can never say who they want. So it turns out that unless she continues to really screw this up badly, Hillary is going to default into that role. The idea of Al Gore, Mr. Environmentalism, who sold his whole TV online venture to an oil state, forget the politics of Al Jazeera, to an oil state, the whole thing, it's a non-starter. By the way, it may be a starter in his mind, but I don't think it's a starter in anyone else's.
Adam, what happens if Al Gore, who was wrong, by now we would have all been underwater, but what happens if the seas rise and we can't get to the polls and it's mandatory? What do we do then?
I don't know. You got to take the shaft out. You got to part the sea. You got to go down to your chariot. No, you know what's interesting about this? I think people really want to see new faces. They really do. And I think I said this on this show before many times. Time to move away from a two-party system. Let's bring in fresh blood, fresh ideas. I'm all in favor of that. I don't want to see more Clintons, more Bushes. Let's get new ideas, new faces. People are ready for that.
All right. Well, I don't know that that's ever going to happen, but we could certainly think about it. I'd love to talk Walking Dead with Adam right now, but we just don't have the time. I heard Brad say Noah for president because of the parting of the seas in the water, and my first reaction was, no, Noah just just got killed in the episode last Sunday. That's in The Walking Dead. All right, more of that. By the way, tomorrow we will have a former cast member of The Walking Dead on this show. I won't tell you who it is, but here's a hint. Okay, there you go. That's a little hint. Anyway, thank you, Adam, and thank you, Brad. Great panel, as always. Good to talk to you both. Coming up next, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the hour, so it's time for Gimme 5. It's up next right here on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax Television.